All right, everybody. I think we got this, right? Did it go live yet? It says live. Just waiting for a few other people to jump on here. All right, everybody. I think we got this. So, just give me 1 second, guys. We've got a couple of people jumping on here. All right, guys. I'm just going to answer a few questions, but as always, if you guys have any questions you want to send me, you can instant message me. For those who have my text message, by all means, text me. I'll get the message as best I can. So basically, the main thing was I had a ridiculous amount of retirees reach out to me. There's no way I can answer that many emails. A lot of concerns on a lot of different issues, and one of the major things was they were talking about was why they're being told when they retire about their union dues, about not 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 paying their union dues anymore. You guys have to understand something. There's federal law. It's no one's doing anything to deceive you, okay? But you're probably not getting all the information either. But when you ask somebody when you go to retire about your union dues, you're not required to stay in the union after you retire. So to collect your pension and your medical that you've accumulated from the union, you don't need to keep your union dues to do that. All right. So the people that are telling you that for the benefit funds, they're just telling you what they're being told to tell you. But the big problem along with that, they're not telling you the other stuff. If you speak to the people in the union, they'll explain to you that, by staying in the union, you keep your UBC death benefits. I do believe there's a benefit from our district council that still stays intact along with your pension, but the UBC death benefit, you don't get that if you're no longer an active member. And also, you lose your right to vote, which becomes a major issue because I don't know how a lot of you feel. I know the way I feel in my father's generation, my grandfather's generation, a lot of union guys, and some guys I just spoke to today who just put in their papers. My buddy Eddie Frost, he just retired. Oh God, Eddie's got to have a long time in business. He was a shop guy that went to work for the city, but he has a lot of respect for being part of the union. He understands what the union did for him, along with my friend Dennis and a lot of other people. So by staying an active union member, it gives you a voice, and I think keeping that for us to to be able to vote makes a huge difference because let's face it, guys, if you don't have that right to vote, you become vulnerable, right? When the leadership has to make decisions and your vote's really not going to matter, right? Because you're retired now and you stop paying your dues. Your percentage of people will become on the chopping block, right? As time goes on, they want to win an election. I guess if they're going to make decisions, you could be the one that they make those decisions against in a way. So okay. Anyway, some of the other quick things that were brought up here. Somebody was asking about the Philly Medical. Philly in Jersey, they do show medical, okay, and they give you a medical policy and say, so we got merged into something like the Eastern District. This is what we'd be looking at, okay. So they offer you a medical policy for the first 3 years of retirement, okay. So if we got into the 3 years, so if you the retirement age is 62 with 30 credits in that Eastern District Council, okay. So that's if you're looking to retire with your full medical and everything like that. You'd be 62 with 30 credits to get the 3 year medical, and that's the idea behind it. Is they give you that to cover until Medicare kicks in, right? So if you retire at 55, you're going to take a substantial hit, probably about 25%. They're saying right here. This is what the information that was given me today. And then even with our union, right, you're not guaranteed medical. A lot of members are misinformed like that. They think that there's something tied to the medical. The medical that we have is continuous on the board of trustees and what our funds have. So I'm gonna to tell you we're in good shape. Last I heard we were 36 months ahead. I don't know if that still holds true with COVID and everything. We might be a little bit below that. I believe so. I know someone told me at the last meeting, I think it was right around 300,000 hours were coming in. That brings us in around, let's say, 13 or 14 million man hours a year. I'll tell you guys, in all honesty, Those are low numbers. If I'm remembering correctly, and this is going back a while, I think we need 16 million man hours a year just to sustain what we have. Okay, and I think Dennis Walsh put in one of his reports one time. If you look at the numbers, we have a large group of people retiring than the members are out there, and according to the LML2s, our last report showed us that 16,800 members, which is a far cry from the 23, 24 million man hours that we're all used to having in the local. We're down a lot. The economy plays a part in it, but I think a lot of people, they retired and just walked away. I think a lot of it. I know with city carpenters, that was a big issue because the union dues come out of their paycheck, and the guys that work for the city for 20, 30 years, then it makes 1 minute they're retired, they don't realize they got to pay their dues, they just go on with their lives and they think nothing of it. All the time the problem is when they're looking for something and then they can't get the answers, or they realize they can't vote or something like that, which is an issue now, which is coming up with a lot of our members. They're looking to get involved and they realize this is a problem. Let me just get back to this paperwork that someone sent me today, some questions this guy was telling me about that watched my last video, that asked me, and I tried to get some more answers from. So, okay, if you're 55 years old and you retire, right, so you're looking at a 25% reduction according to their program, right, that plan. So we have the 55 and out. You can get out an early thing, but you got to have 30 credits, and you're still going to take a major hit. 25% is a big hit. And like I discussed in the last video, 62 is a long way to go. Not everyone has that luxury, and I'll tell you, I don't care what anyone says this paperwork, but if these numbers, we end up with the Eastern District, all you're going to do is see a very large increase disabled carpenters, because they'll get to a point where some guys just won't be able to work anymore. I just spoke to a guy the other day. He's having another hip replacement. He's had two heart attacks, I believe. So his days are numbered. I mean, he doesn't want to accept the fact, but I sort of look at him. There's no way he's going to maintain it, and he's trying to. He got in a little late. He's 58 right now. He's trying to keep his own. There's no way he's recovering from this hip operation with the health that he has. But so those are the main things with the retirement age. I would highly recommend a lot of people to rethink giving up your union card, especially with our union the way we are right now. We do offer retirement for the retirees. After 50 years, you get a lifetime membership. For those of you that are close to that 50-year pin, it's another reason to hang on. I mean, for the death benefit alone, I think it's like 20-something thousand or something like that. And if I got into the council, that's something I would look into to try to get that increase for everybody. And also, I'm a big advocate about I know Graham and a couple of business agents, they looked into the AFLAC. I know the city offers it. I've had AFLAC for many, many years. Big advocated on it because I ride motorcycles. A lot of people are active, and God forbid something ever happens to us, like you're covered for a certain percent, whatever you get for cancer riders or accidents on a motorcycle or something like that. It's just to sustain and pay your bills, to help you collect that along with your disability coverage. That's another thing too. Our local, if you're a 157 member, we have a disability benefit. Not every local has that. I think it's $250 a week, something like that. It's a little extra that you're offered, So that's something that we would lose if we got merged. It's a tough situation. I can understand why people are nervous. I would be nervous. I mean, listen, I'm a city carpenter now. That's another question was actually asked to me, how many years I had in the business, and what was that? That was on one of these lists. How many years I had in the business? Well, I got 36 years in the union. Like I've told a lot of people, I'm third generation union carpenter. I started off originally as a woodworker. My father, my grandfather, they were Ratner, Langenbacker. A lot of guys knew my grandfather. My grandfather was a Superfund Langenbacker. Probably some companies, some of these guys out there probably even hear these names, right? I worked with a company called Pilot. It was a woodworking company my father was with when I first started in the business. I worked with them for a short period of time. I worked with my Uncle Tony on a job, did renovation work, locker and construction, an old Irish company actually. Renovation, drywall framing, cutting out floor joists. Tough work, but it was something different. And then my father taught me, listen, if you're going to stay in the business, you got to learn concrete. Wasn't my favorite to learn when I was a kid, but high-rise concrete was different, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the guys a lot more than I did the work, because they were great guys to be around. And looking back in life, it was probably the best advice he ever gave me, because The best way to put it to you guys, when the shit hits the fan, like in the situation right now and the economy slows down, is the money always gears back to infrastructure work. So you always take that step back. There'll always be money when the economy starts to slow down. It'll go to infrastructure. So if you know how to do concrete and you can do that infrastructure, it'll help you sustain a living in those tough times. Um, guys that specialize in ceilings. I think if you're a good ceiling man, hardware guy, or some type of specialty work, you could hold your own on that stuff. It'll definitely help you move to the industry on tough times like this. All right, guys, we're getting some text messages and emails in here. Someone's asking me more about retirement stuff. So, okay, what else do you guys want to know? So, this is the guy who sent me the paperwork. Not guaranteed. Hmm. Huh. Oh, here's something we want to bring up. We were talking about with the retirees, with the council. All right, so people were asking me questions about if you did retire, right? And we got out. What would we do for? We got screwed over the last contract with the 39 hours, right? And that hurt a lot of our members. Guys that didn't have a lot of time in the business. That's what this guy's asking about, the 39 hours. So when we were in the last contract, they turned around after the last election. They side door thing, and shop stewards can't do the 39 hours a month. You can still do your 39 hours a month, but they're not allowing shop stewards to do it. Which I think was kind of a hard way to do it, the way they pressed it out. Just another thing that they just reacted with no input from the membership, which is another thing. It just can't be happening anymore. I think things need to go to a membership vote as well as a delegate vote, because we need to get members' input. We can't just turn around and allow the delegates to make these adjustments. I think the large percentage right now, I think it's an overwhelming, like 60%. I think it's 60%, maybe even more of the delegates are actually council employees. The other half are people that are hooked up with the delegates of the council employees. So their interests are their interests, right? So basically the 39 hours a month, if you really think about it, what was a large percentage of guys that were actually doing that? It's got to be, you guy retires at 55. He's only carrying himself and probably with his kids in college or something like that. Guys are going to do that until their Social Security kicks in. After that, you can only make so much money after Social Security to even make it worth your while. So really, they only hurt a small group of people, and those people will probably set their retirement. Some counting on that 39 hours a month until their Social Security kicked in, which to me was like a pretty big of a dick move, you ask me. I'm not going to be PG. I think everyone here's a big boy or big girl who's listening to me. The one of the ideas I was thinking about that someone brought to my attention, wasn't just my idea, but we talked about it, was they did something in D.C. with the building we own in D.C. And it's something I was thinking about. I know we own the air rights to the building at 395 Hudson Street, and I always wondered why we never followed through. If I remember correctly, there were insights looking into selling the air rights or building ourselves on top of the air right in the building we have, which would be a great idea. If we can go up 30 stories in that building, I believe it's 30 stories. That would be a substantial amount, considering, 395 Hudson Street's in a prime location right now in New York City. All the major hubs are out there. You got Facebook, Google, the headquarters for Disney is down there. It's a major company. So I think if they did something like that, that course would actually be good because it's tied to the pension fund, and that money could actually be used to help with the cost of living that we were talking about, to help out with our retirees, because I think retirees, we do have to work it out with the trustees. Like I said, this is something that would all have to go through the board of trustees and have to go to sustainable with our hours that are coming into the funds to build back on this. Like, no one person would be able to say it, but if the funds could sustain it and we did something, reinvested in ourselves. Listen, there was a time back in the day when Pascal McGinnis first bought this building. They used to call it Pascal's Palace when I first bought it. I remember when it was a big thing when Pascal actually bought this building, which, hey, listen, was a great investment, right? It's actually sustained. It's very solid. It helps build up our pension fund. And you guys are all down there. The building, I think, is well above 80 or 90% capacity right now. It's right up at the top. But that money could definitely help with the contributing to our pension fund and helping our retirees with cost of living increases down the road. So it's something we should look into. Even if I don't win this election, it's definitely something I would hope that the people who do win this relationship, or if we don't lose this to the international right away, maybe it's something they would do. But I'm assuming that they're going to put that building on a chopping block to secure the rest of the country. I know our membership is one of the lowest right now for the council, but we're also a very small district compared to the rest of them because they've all merged throughout the time. So I know our funds are much bigger than the rest of them. So as we get merged and we get pulled into the bigger conglomerate, I'm pretty sure they'll absorb our funds along the way, like what's happened with many locals over the years and other councils throughout the city, or throughout the country, I should say. I mean, it speaks for itself. So I think I covered everything on the. I hope I did, on the retirement. There was a lot, like I said, there was a lot of emails asking a lot of the same questions. So there's no way I can reach all these things. So someone else asked me too. Okay, what I got to answer. We have $10 billion in our pension funds. North Atlantic has $5 billion, and they have 45,000 members. Yeah. So that's another thing to think about, guys. Just think about it. We have $10 billion in our funds, right? And we're at, whatever, like a quarter of the amount of members that are in the other, and they have not even half the money we have. They need our money. That's basically it is. This is a business move, guys. Look at the logic behind it. They're not coming in here. We have 55 and out, full medical. When they chop this up, don't be fooled by what you're being told out there. Everyone tells you, oh, this and that. The only thing that protected us back when Mike Biello got into office, and he said in one of my videos, you guys are willing to click back and watch it. He actually said was they came. The first thing they had set up was to raise the retirement to 57 with medical, right? So that was a big thing. He put a stop to that. He got it back to the 55. He did some, razzle dazzle type of negotiations upstairs, and he got it worked out. And it was tough times back then. I think 2008 was tougher than it is now, and he was able to work that out. But he was actually working within the interest of the membership. That's the key thing. If you have someone in the room that actually cares, that's going to make a difference. But if everyone's looking to, if the people in the room, their interest is to get the money, then that's going to be a problem for us. And I don't know how that's going to all play out down the road, but my gut tells me not well. So anyway, all right. So enough with the retirement stuff. You guys have other questions that came to me. Somebody actually sent me an email, and it's what does it say? A text message. It say, apprentice, no time on the tools. What is it right here? No time on the tools. They only pick certain people to work. I'm second year, and only had no time on the tools. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem. My best advice for you: things are tight. I mean, I would have a talk with the foreman or your shop steward. Pull somebody aside. Speak up. If you don't speak up for yourself, you're not going to get anywhere in life. You do have to work on your tools. You're turning second year. This is an issue now because, by third year, you better know what you're doing. You better be able to hold your own for the most part on the job. I mean, to me, I think a good third-year apprentice is pretty good. He might have had the extra background behind it as a full-book journeyman because, listen, like I said, I got 36 years in the business, and I'm still learning. So I don't have all the answers. I learn every day. I love looking at new products that come out and things that change. So I just research things all the time. But if I'll be honest with you, if you can't get satisfaction out of this, and drywall and framing you do, huh? You know what? Reach back out to me, and we'll talk about it. And if you can't get satisfaction and they won't let you work with your tools, give me a call, and we'll work something out. I'll make sure you get with somebody that gives you the opportunity to work with your tools because you're digging a hole for yourself. If you're just somebody out there unloading trucks all day and sticking insulation in the wall, and you're not getting time with your tools, the writing's on the wall. You got to walk away, unfortunately. But it's true. You can't turn third year and expect them to let you do what you want to do. What do you go here? Yeah, we need to. When it comes to stuff like this, we all have to look out for each other, guys. This is important. Like, when you see things like that on a job site, we have to make sure our apprentices are learning, and no one's going to do it for us. And the foreman, their interest is different than ours, but it shouldn't be. And some foremen are good with it; they do understand it. They get it. I had a guy one time complain to me that he couldn't get guys to do call board and everything like that, and you know. I got in a big argument with the guy, and he listened to me. We went down to the school and we found some good second, third year apprentices, and we put them with some mechanics they had, and they hooked up pretty good. They learned how to do cold board and framing and stuff like that, because it takes a certain person to work in shafts like that. You got to be a stocky guy to lift up some heavy boards and do planking and stuff like that. But you know, this you have to, when you're a young kid coming to this business. I'm not telling you to be cocky, but you got to speak up. Be respectful when you're doing it. And tell me your reasons why you want to learn. You don't want to get left in the dark. Because you came into this business to learn a trade. You didn't come to this business to just skate by. Because if you do, you're not fooling anyone but yourself. The walls are closing quick on you. You turn third or fourth year apprentice. If you can't hold your own, the contractor's not going to give you the time of day. They're gonna, you'll make the cut quick. When things are busy, everybody needs bodies, right? So jobs are filled, and you kind of you could clip in with guys. When you're out there and the economy is tight, like in this situation, you got to be well rounded. That's what's going to keep you going. Yeah, these someone just sent me a text. These foremen need to be reminded that these apprentices are going to be paying their pensions, and that's something to think about, guys. Even all years on the job, when you're standing there, remember, we all break balls. We screw around with the apprentices. We have fun and everything like that, which you all should be doing, because we can't take life serious. Life is hard enough, right? Well, we should be looking out for each other, because every day we wake up, the world's against us, right? We're fighting non-union, fighting this guy. We got to find a way to get along with each other, and we got to play it forward, right? So, that kid, that young apprentice, that kid or that girl or the young boy standing on a job site, that's our future. I was that kid one day, right? They used to call me the kid. I remember it. I used to get mad when they called me the kid. Now I wish somebody would call me the kid. 53 years old. But don't be afraid to ask questions if you're an apprentice. And if you're a mechanic or a journeyman, grab that kid on the side. Your time is numbered, man. You're not going to make it. It's going to go quick. Believe me, they're not there to steal your job. These young kids, it takes forever. I mean, to really become a good carpenter, I think after you finish your apprenticeship and you're into it, it takes a good 5 to 8 years to really understand the business, and that's if you're lucky. But when you get the basics down, you're still to break out and learn woodworking and hardware. You got to be. I think if you're very mechanically inclined, as time goes on, you pick things up quicker, which is a big plus for a lot of kids. But some kids, they have a nick and they're stuck in that one nick, and for them to get out of it, it's hard. So sometimes you have to show it forward with it. The other thing that we were talking about was when they cut the 39 hours out for the retirees. Think about that logic, what they did when they did that. Because those extra 39 hours for those members, those 39 hours went to the funds, right? So those are hours to help build the funds back up. So they kind of cut themselves out with it. I also have a big thing about the picket duty, too, as well. You got to take the majority of people do picket duty, right? So just say, let's just say right now say 10,000 people do picket duty, right? Or say 5,000. We'll just go with a small number, 5,000. If each member is doing that 5,000 hours, right, and they're each missing 40 hours worth of work, you know what I'm saying? You took 2 million man hours, gone. Just gone in the blink of an eye. So that tells you, should we have another way to do it? Should a foreman be able to say? Because a lot of guys are asking me that. Why can't I send my apprentice down to go do it? I got a friend of mine. He runs a big thing with heavy construction. He's doing the Bronx and Long Island and a bunch of work. He's why can't he send his apprentice over to go do it? Right? He's going to get off the job. I mean, listen, he would get paid either way because he's a general foreman for the company. But another guy working with the company, he might not get it. So why can't he send his apprentice? Why can't someone send their nephew? Why can't I give a retiree $100 or $50? Let him do it, so I don't lose. Because now I'm losing my 8 hours for the day, right? And I'm going to. So now the council lost their 8 hours, right? Just so I had to go, so I didn't lose my $500 in fines. It's something to think about, guys. If you did those numbers up, and we crunch those numbers, they come to big numbers at the end of the year. So, it's like I said once again, the guys working in that building at 395 Hudson Street. I don't think they grasp it because it's for most of them, if they ever wore a tool belt, they they don't understand what the average guy is going through, and the business has changed a lot in the last 10 or 15 years. So a lot in the last 20. So I can't look at the comments on the screen, guys. I don't know where they all are. Hold on a second. Can't do everything, guys. Here we go. Let me see. Nope, no luck with that. I can't do two things at one time. You're flying solo here, guys. Let's see some comments. Let's see. I'll try. I don't want to lose the screen. I can't hit too many buttons here. All right. So let's see if we can make the screen bigger. Boom. Network. No. Oh shit! I did something wrong. That's not good. There we go. I don't know what I just did. I don't fucking know. All right, stop asking questions like that. I am not computer savvy. I'm just playing with this thing as I go. But let me see here if I can pull up the comments on this instead. Let's see what you were talking about. All right, here we go. Get it on. So, what are you guys asking here? Do you want old-timers and stewards to be able, by the rules, to fight for members to come? Yeah, a lot of shop stewards did do that. They jumped in to become, to jump on to. That's how they got their. A lot of people became shop stewards because it was an easier way to get work off the list, right? So I don't blame a guy for working the system. Hey, listen, we all do that, right? We all find a way to get in there. Uh, Being a steward, if you're doing it correctly, isn't as easy as it sounds. It's a lot harder. You can't turn around and just say to yourself, "Oh, I'm gonna become a shop steward, and that's gonna be my way off the out of work list." Because if you're trying to do the job correctly as a steward, you're putting yourself in the line of fire. Because sometimes you're fighting other people's issues, right? People have a problem on a job. If you want to do it correctly, you got to stand up for everybody, and that makes it hard. And you better listen. You can't just go in. You can't go into thing half cocked. Like you got to know. You got to know. You got to know your rights, and you got to know your laws. And it's a lot harder to think. Like I'm an OSHA instructor, so I have a little bit more to say than a lot of people. As far as understanding what's going on, and it's tough because. But you get some guys that just timekeepers. They come in there. The foreman gives them the hours. They put it in the sheet. They don't really know anything, and they want to look down and just walk forward. They don't want to get involved. They're just happy to be there. There's a big problem that I have with these temporary stewards that they're sending out. They're putting them on a job and they allow them there, and companies take advantage of them. I had a contractor one time tell me, he asked me some questions. I'll never forget it. And he's actually part owner of the company, and he starts asking me some crazy questions, and I looked at him right in the face, and I was like, "Why would you ask me that?" He just says to me, he goes, "Well, I'm just asking a question." I go, "Let me get this straight. You started a business, you bid work in New York City, and you're asking me about the contract, right?" I said, "Do you really want me to believe that you don't know anything of the contract, that you just bid a multi-million-dollar contract not knowing what the rules were?" Because if I was out bidding a contract, believe me, if I do something, I know back and forth everything that I can and can't do, right? And what I can probably get away with. So I said to the guys, or are you just testing me to see what I know so you know what you can get away with? He closed up his briefcase and walked out of the room. Basically that's what it was. He was just trying to test me to see what I knew. He was asking me stupid questions and stuff like that. I just caught on to him right away. But I called him out on it. He didn't too happy with me. He walked out of the room, but he was trying to pull a fast one, But listen, that's being a shop steward comes with experience. Not everyone has the answer. how you deal with people sometimes makes a difference. You know, you can't go in there screaming and yelling. You know, sometimes keeping a cooler head and talking it out with somebody. Usually, when you have, if you go in most of the time with a cool head and you explain your issue and you can talk, unless the guy's a total asshole, you know they'll reason with you because they don't want problems either. They want to get the job done. The last thing they need is people flip it out and they want problems in the job. You know, so you your best bet is to just if you're not sure, don't be afraid to ask questions. Call somebody. Call me. I'll help you out the best I can. Listen, if I don't have the answer for you, believe me, I'll find it. I have a lot of connections. I know a lot of people. I'm friends with a lot of attorneys, and that's something that helped me out throughout life. Like I've learned in life that you can make a difference. Like I had a friend of mine, I should say, who died during COVID, right? And I worked for the city of New York at the time, and we went through a big issue where like it was during COVID, and people would tell me what they were entitled to, and I talked to some city supervisors, and everyone gave me a big speech telling me he's not entitled to nothing. He's only been with the city for a year. You got to be with the city for 3 years to get the death benefit. They went to this whole thing. So I said to myself, I go, you know what? I said, guys, I have a good friend of mine who's an attorney, and her mother's brilliant. She's a very smart woman, and she's giving me a little bit more information. So I was asking people questions, and I actually got the people that he worked with in the city. He was working in Manhattan at the time, and at first the foreman wouldn't give me any information because he said I can't give you that information. But I found the guys that he worked with, and they all were super happy to help because when the guy passed away, he only had like a 8-year-old son, like he's 7 or 8 years old, and they were telling me, he wasn't entitled to nothing. So I talked to his wife, and his wife, she was a very brilliant woman, but she just, it was hard hit to her. She wasn't expecting it. She might have been watching this video for all I know, but when I went in to help with Val, she was. I called her on the phone, and we got everything set. I told her we were on a tight schedule because we had to get everything done very quickly, and this all happened right before the holidays. It was terrible, right? I think right after Thanksgiving, he got really sick, and it was just the whole thing was terrible. But anyway, the point of the story was I was told by everyone, you're wasting your time. I called the council, and the person at the council hung up at me because they said I wasn't giving. They weren't giving the answer they wanted. I was like, whatever. So I got the attorney, and I got everything straightened out. But that case actually worked out really good because, he was awarded 80-something% of his last year's salary, which is a substantial amount of money. And he also got a death benefit. We also got full medical for his wife and his son for the rest of their life, which was a major plus. And then we dealt back and forth with the Board of Trustees and Art Council, and they awarded him under the same thing. Because remember, the key part of this was they made him an essential worker. We were all pushed to go back to work, the guys that had to go out in the field, the city carpenters, and anybody who had to go to work, we were considered city workers. They pushed us back out to work. So by doing that, they took on an obligation with that, and that's what the law actually reads in that stipulation that was in there. But that helped him. Helped his family to get that. And with his council pension, his wife wouldn't be allowed to collect that money until he was his 55th birthday. But we were able to negotiate that out, and they actually paid it from the time of his death. Most people don't realize when that happens, your wife or your significant other only gets half of what your full thing was. So let's say you were getting a $4,000 pension, she would only get $2,000. In the normal case, she would only get that for the time of your 55th birthday. In the council we are now, if this changes, that we emerge, that could be a whole other thing. So getting that award for him since he was like 47 when he passed away, it helped a little bit for his wife and his son. But my answer is that sometimes the people giving you the answer, they really don't know the answer. They're just kind of like throwing stuff at you. So you have to learn that a lot of these guys, we're all carpenters. Listen, I'm not a lawyer, but I have a lot of friends who are, and I've learned throughout life that, sometimes if it doesn't look right, or make sure you're asking people and get a definitive answer. And sometimes you have to fight for it, sometimes you might be the precedent. You might be someone out there to prove otherwise. I know she's the first person ever to get the medical coverage and everything out of this. And there's other people who probably died working for the city who got nothing, I had a co-worker of mine with the city. He went to work, and he ended up having something. He was unloading a truck. He felt a tug, and kept working. He's got 3 kids at home, and next thing he's rushing to the hospital. He split some major artery. It's like a ridiculous. He'll probably never work again in his life. Something like that happened to him, and it's scary. Because we work in this industry, and every day we go to work, accidents happen. This don't fool yourself, guys. This is a dangerous industry. I think we have the highest mortality rate of anything, like construction workers. I think we're bigger than cops, bigger than firemen, bigger than everything. Even cops and firemen, they're given a wear and tear, right? They're all retiring within 20 years. We could probably do most of their jobs with our eyes closed. Think of what we're dealing with, right? We're dealing with heavy, just being out in the environment and the dust and the silica dust we deal with. Think of all the things we deal with every day. And the stress of the job too, right? You're always competing, you're always pushing, when the layoffs are coming off, everybody's on the top of their toes trying to stay ahead of everything. So let's see anything else, guys, sending out here. What do we got here? Any other instant messages or texts? What do we got going on here? What are retirees allowed to do on the site and not do on the site when they come back, other than a foreman? All right, that's a good question. I have a lot of my friends who do this, so I'm going to be pissing people off right here. That's a problem, and we have a lot of that going on, because the majority of my friends are collecting their pension now. They made a lot of money in this industry, some of them a lot more than others, and they came back as project managers and supers. We have guys that I know that left the industry back in the day, and they jumped over to became iron workers and iron workers and glazers, and they were doing office furniture and stuff like that, which is the same type of thing, right? They're collecting our pension now and our medical, and now they're switching over to that. Well, a lot of these other guys now, they're doing the same thing, right? They retire and they come back. Technically, they're not supposed to be touching the tools, right? They're not supposed to be picking up a hammer, sapping lines, or anything like that. They could still work the 39 hours a month. They are allowed to do that. I mean, if they brokerage that out, I guess they could probably still get a lot done. I guess you're only going to get charged for what you get caught doing, right? But that's a problem, right? Like, you got to figure, so now these guys I all know, they're all general foremen and supers, right? They worked their whole career, 30, 40 years. Now they retire, they come back, they're paying all those benefits in, right? And now they drop off the thing, and now that job still exists, right? Because they're still working, they're getting paid for the contractor, but those hours are contributed. But meanwhile, they're living off the benefit hours, right? So, I mean, listen, a lot of those guys worked a lot of hours. They did 2,000-3,000 hours a year for 30, 40 years. I got a good friend of mine, Paul. He works for a company in the city. He put a lot of time in the years, and believe me, he's not swinging a hammer. Believe me, I don't think he's swinging a hammer in the last 25 years. Highly intelligent man, though. He knows the business inside and out. Yeah, but that's it. They can't touch their tools. Listen, we see it all the time. I had a job one time in the Queens area. I think I called in. And I reported it. There was a guy on the job. The company was shady. One guy was out. He was literally collecting a disability check from the Long Island local. Working on the... I was told not to put him on the sheet because he wasn't going to work. I caught him several times working, putting up black iron, putting up ceiling grid, putting up wall angle, multiple times. And then I got to find out the guy was collecting a disability check from the Long Island local, right? So we had all the IGs and all this investigation stuff, but yet we couldn't stop a guy who's disabled working in our jurisdiction as a wannabe supervisor. And meanwhile, you're catching with the tools all the time. The whole thing's a joke. Like, it just goes to show you sometimes, it's all smoke and mirrors, right? I guess they police what they want to police, and don't get me wrong. You guys work through lunch. That's a crime of the century, right? That's what we had during COVID, it was the whole thing. We had a meeting, and I remember Paul Caperso, name and Carrie was on it, and they were talking about this. Guys working through lunch, like that's the crime of the century. That's what everybody's worried about, the guys working through lunch. I'm like, oh God, I'd be more worried about the guys working for cash, right? Yes, that would bother me. The benefits not getting played. That's something we should be worried about, not a guy working through lunch. If a guy wants to work through lunch and get out early, listen, I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but on a small job, we've all done it, right? I guess, I don't know. I don't think we should be shooting somebody for that one, but... What do we got going on here? Getting questions, yet a lot of questions about the B rate, Carpenters, the apprentices. I'm gonna have to do a whole topic on that because that's a lot. That's a lot to get into. Like I said before, I had someone ask me a question about the apprentices, and when they go into school, they're losing. I guess they do. They lose what? They lose 160 hours, something like that, going to school. And one guy didn't get his medical coverage. He was short 120 hours. That's something we should look into. That shouldn't be happening because if the kid's spending that time in the school and it's so time of the year like now, those hours should be reciprocal somehow. We should be paying. We should be picking that up for the kid. He shouldn't have to be worried about not having his medical coverage because he's doing his part and showing up to school. How we would do that, I'm pretty sure we could probably fix it. I don't think it'd be a major issue. That's got to be a way to fix that. That shouldn't be a problem. Um, but what else we got going here? The B-Ray Carpenter. Well, listen, guys, the B-Ray Carpenter, it's here. They put it into the contract. I have pros and cons about it. What I think is good and bad. I'll tell you, a lot of the B-Ray carpenters that are out there, they're still there. They're in the industry. They're working. Some of them are really good. I've actually met some good B-Ray carpenters that came into the industry with phenomenal. I knew one kid that was like originally a house framer, and then he worked in the city. Then he got in with the union. And within a year, they made him a foreman for a company. He's actually, a lot of them are very appreciative for the opportunity to be in the union. A lot of them have actually show up at union meetings to get very involved because they know what it's like to not be in the union, not have medical coverage. So to them, they take it seriously. So, but we have to use the B rate. When it was put into play, it's got to be used as a weapon. We got to use it to go after contractors. And what better way to put a contractor on his knees, right? But to take his guys away from him, right? So you turn around. I walk a job site, or I'm standing up. The best way I've always talked to guys, I go to the coffee wagon, right, or the deli. And usually guys come out at lunchtime. You can talk to me about a coffee wagon. But if you grab their key guys and you can get them on, that makes a difference. But when I'm grabbing a 40-year-old guy or a 38-year-old guy, it's hard to say put him through apprenticeship program and tell him all this when the guy's already has 16, 17 years in the industry. And there's got to be a backdoor way to bring him in, right? We can't bring him in with the Department of Labor rules that involve the apprenticeship program. There's got to be another way, right? Because you're going to bring him in for the drug testing and go through the whole apprenticeship program. We have to have something because we can't just close the door to these guys. Back in the day, we used to throw them in as a full book journeyman. Maybe the guy's not totally qualified. Then again, maybe he is. Maybe we got guys out there with plenty of, we have to do another way to go through their paycheck stubs and see the qualifications of what they can do and that they can actually do the work. Last job I just did out at the Con Ed plant on the outside, I took a break from the city. The guy that was running the job, actually a really good carpenter. And, he was a little rough on some things. He asked me a bunch of questions and stuff, but he was a good carpenter. He didn't know a lot of certain things. He ran a lot of work. But you could definitely see he was experienced. And he got in the union at 32, and he told me, he goes, it was biggest regret that he waited that long. He said a lot of people talked down about the union around him. And then when now that he's in, he's seen that they were playing him. Oh, you're not going to work steady. You're not going to this. You're not going to that. But, he's appreciative because now he goes on vacation. He's got a vacation check. He's got an annuity. He's happy. And they have him as a B-rate carpenter, but his company pays him full rate because he's done mostly prevailing rate jobs, that company. So, not having the B-Ray carpenter, bringing it to the wall and ceiling for what they did it with, and not increasing the market share, that's a problem. Like if you're going to do one of these, and I'm deadly against it, but market recovery jobs or out of borough jobs, and you're going to do it. If you're going to put one of these rates together, but you can't meet a number that this contract is worth, then why bother? Like we're going to put something together to do what? We're not increasing the market share. Then what are we doing with this? Like, well, why am I going to take something and cut it down 20, 30%? And, extending the apprentices to what they did, geez, some apprentices a little bit more time to learn. I guess so it's not a bad thing. I know a couple of apprentices on major jobs like the airport. What they're doing, they're asking for extensions in the fourth year because some of these companies now, when they turn B rate, they lay you off because they won't pay you. They can't pay you B rate on a prevailing rate job, right? But they can't keep you there. They won't going to pay you the full rate. So some of the kids are just asking for an extension, staying a fourth year, an extra year, right? Which probably makes sense. There's probably much of a difference between a fourth year and a B rate anyway. Then hopefully by the end of that fourth year, they'll have their 10,000 hours. They can put a papers in and then jump to certified journeyman versus taking a layoff and just leaving because for some reason these companies, the guy's like, oh, we're not going to pay him the B rate. So I know other companies that don't pay B rate. You do your 4 years. If you're a company guy and you're with them or you've been with them for a while, they'll put you right to certified journeyman. Those companies don't pay it. Listen, when I was doing woodworking, I worked with Angelo, the Island Woodworking, which was Greenwood Woodworking. Great guy, really good union man. But he told me straight up, he's like, "Don't worry about it." He goes, I don't pay market recovery rate, nothing. And you're gonna need my job, so you get full rate." Because I was like, "Listen, I'm not going to this job. I'll be out of here taking my tools home with me." But he's like, "No, I pay the full rate." So some companies do it. If you're with the right company, listen, on these B rates or these market recovery jobs, the top foremen and the company guys, some of the top guys, they're not getting that B rate. They're gonna, you're the guys that are collecting that B rate. They're getting the full rate because they're not going out there to take that money. Look, you can't stop the contractor from paying somebody more, and they're in business to make money. So they're not in business to be your buddy. If they can save a nickel, believe me, they're going to save a nickel. The guy rather drive a Maserati than a Corvette. So if you can pay for the difference, they're going to take it. So, all right, guys, listen, I'm on here 46 minutes. Went a little bit longer than I thought I would, but I'm going to try to get a post up for different polls for different questions and different topics people want to get involved in. I hit this stuff mostly with the retirement thing because I just got so many text messages and emails on it. But listen, congratulations for the people that are getting ready to retire. I heard some really great stories in these emails and text messages, and very touching. People planning their life ahead. Some people had life-changing experiences that forced them into retiring early. Cancers and stuff like that. And it just goes to show us, guys, that at the end of the day, listen. We disagree on a lot of things, but remember, we're still a union. We're a brotherhood and sisterhood, and we all have to work together at this. So remember that, on a job site. Like, everyone around us, we're in this together. The world's against us and all thing, right? We're fighting everybody else. Like, life is hard. So if you can help the person next year, try and do that, and try to remember that when an apprentice. And if you can help someone find a job or mentor somebody or help someone, if you're on your lunch break and somebody's walking around, they got a question. Don't hesitate to try to talk to someone. Listen, people have problems. Like, I've met people been in tough situations in life, and you'd be surprised like what you could do. I had a guy on the job one time who was an iron worker, and we didn't realize how bad things were for him going through a divorce, and we find out after the holiday week when we come back he killed himself. So people have issues that happen in their lives, and if we're a true union, brotherhood, and sisterhood, we should really understand what those words mean, and don't be afraid to help the person next year, because when it's all over and done, I think your character and who you are means more than the money in your wallet. Like, who cares if you drive a Mercedes or you drive a Chevy pickup truck? Does it really matter? People aren't really impressed at the end of the day. The people who are, it's nonsense. So, but all right, guys, listen. It was if you guys have any questions, like I said, I'm always available. Feel free to instant message me or give me a text. I'll answer any of your questions. And like I said, if I don't have the answer, you bet I'll find it for you. All right? Listen, everyone, have a good night. Spend time with your family. And thanks for the opportunity to speak up for you guys. And I'm looking forward to all you guys. Want to say, everyone here that's a 157 member, March 20th, between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. I'm asking you to get down and vote. We got a ticket together for Carpenters for Accountability. We got a ticket running for the 43rd General Convention in Las Vegas. It's very important that we show in numbers and we get people down to do it, all right? I'll have everyone set up I'll have some coffee set up and everything like that. Come down, talk to the members, come and meet the people that are running. We got some really great people on our ticket, and it's important because we got to send a message when we go out to the international, letting everyone know that we're sticking together here because there's strength in numbers, so don't even forget that. All right, guys, have a good night. All right, bye.